Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody's having a great Thursday evening and welcome to another evening with Vision Preparedness. Hope everybody's doing well. See a couple of folks in the chat. Triple Threat, thank you very much. One of my newest mods. Krista, good evening, good evening, good evening, my Renaissance grandma. GT in the house. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's having a great evening. And before we jump into our topic, I like to do what I call around the block. How's everybody doing tonight? What's everybody working on this week or this coming long weekend that we have coming up? Virginia Bushcrafter, I see you in the house. Thank you for dropping in. Pull up a chair. Have a seat, relax. We're going to have an amazing conversation tonight. GT growing in Alaska, my man, putting it down out there in God's country. Virginia Bushcrafter, bushcrafting away. And of course, we have the illustrious Triple Threat, Firearms and Defense with the Wrench. Ride or Die Chick, welcome. How are you, Grandma Renaissance? How are you, Ride or Die Chick? Good to see everybody tonight. What's everybody working on this week? Anything special? Or we just gonna hang out and enjoy the weekend? I know I have a few things I have to do around here and go from there. It never ending around here. Yep. Good old Nightbot rolled in. Virginia Bushcrafter, do me a favor and type in Vision. And then I'll get to this as we go. Krista's dehydrating potatoes and onions and making apple butter. That sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds real good. My mother Sparks. Yeah, I understand. You're good. Glad to see you. Welcome. We got a lot of content creators in the house. And, I like to support everybody in our community. So if you're a content creator, just type in the word vision and it will drop your link in the chat so other folks can check you out as well. So tonight's topic, are we really prepared for an economic collapse in the United States? I say no. And that is going to be the topic for tonight. Welcome, Bougie. I want everybody to participate in this because that's what we do. So think about this, a true economic collapse in the United States. We all know that right now things are bad, or I'm going to even say not good. Welcome, Fed Up American. Food prices, gasoline, mortgage rates, whatever they're doing on the other side of the pond, things are getting tight. But they could be much, much worse. And what I mean by that, let's look at a true economic collapse, okay? Similar to what happened during the Great Depression. So if the banks collapse, that's going to start a chain reaction that I'm going to say we don't even want to deal with. By the way, how do I sound? Is everything good? If you can hear me and it sounds great, just give me a 5x5, somebody. But yeah, if let's walk down this lane. If the US dollar collapses and the banks close, can't get money. Thank you, Krista. Thank you, Bougie. GT. Mary Mist, welcome. Welcome, Mary. Thank you, Fed Up. So if the banks close and we can't get money, now what? What happens to our own personal economic system? How are we going to be able to pay our bills and utilities if there's a run at the bank? If there's a real run on our money, and let's say we can't get money, period, then what are we going to do? How are we going to pay our bills? Sorry about that. My phone keeps blowing up. How are we going to pay our bills? How are we going to keep our utilities on? How are we going to live day to day? Just think about that. So if the banks close, we can't get money. That's going to start chaos across the country. Okay? And then from there, it's going to only get worse. So now we can't pay our mortgage, our rent, our utilities, our car payments. Now what? So if we can't pay utilities, then what happens? People's lights are going to be getting turned off, people's gas, keep people's internet, things like that. Therefore, we can't maintain the lifestyle we have. So now we have mass chaos in the streets, on the streets, things like that. You know, we all prep for everything. We prep food, water, shelter, money, tools, weapons, whatever. We prep everything we can. And from there, what do? Now what? Do you think the banks are immediately going to start foreclosing on homes? I don't think so for the time being. Right. I'm with you, Fed Up American. Fed Up American, you know, I'm really bothered for what's about to happen. Exactly. Right. Random. Trash pickup. Right. It's right, GT. It's something serious to consider. Bitcoin, I wouldn't put my money in Bitcoin because that's going to be just like the banks. If there's no internet access, you can't get to your Bitcoin. And if that is the case, with that, what do? Total chaos. Right. Yeah, I saw that. Yes, distraction incoming. What do? How do we deal with it? Right. We're going to be thrown back into the 1800s. Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. Okay. So, because of that, I hope and pray we do not have to deal with an economic collapse in this country, because it's going to spin this world, the world and this country into something we've never seen or dealt with. Gold and silver, right, Bougie, gold and silver. We can use that to barter with part of it. But first of all, the first thing that's going to go out the window is trust. If you don't know them, you're not going to trust them. Welcome, Urban. Welcome. We're not going to trust them. If you don't know them, you're not going to trust them. A mag will work, and this is going to be something that is going to be absolutely amazing, because if you have a mag, let's talk about that. Fed Up Prepper just mentioned that. Fed Up American, I'm sorry. He just mentioned find a great mag. Okay, so let's talk about that for a moment. So you have a mag, and your mag, let's just pick a number. I like even numbers. Let's pick 10. So you've got 10 people in your mag. Hopefully, those people bought enough preps with them to sustain them. Right. We're there. The mat is getting ready to be pulled out under our feet. So you have your mag, you have all your supplies. Now, here's the magic question. What happens when the food runs out? Let's say we got enough food for a year and we're still in this turmoil. What happens on day 366? What happens? We have a question here, Mag. Juwan, a MAG is short for a mutual assistance group. Like-minded people, friends, family, whatever, your group, your guys, all of that. Correct. Bougie Prepper said you should be gardening. Okay. That I agree 100%. 100%. Yes. Random says mutual assistance group again. Yes, that's what a MAG is. So a MAG is a group of like-minded people that come together to help each other. Bougie asks a question. Is there not a plan in the MAG to have farm animals? Yeah, that's what I'm just saying. So that's what I'm trying to get at. If the prepped food runs out, wherever the MAG is, Can you raise animals? Can you protect the animals from other people trying to take them? Can you protect your garden? Welcome, Lisa. Right. We got a garden. We have to, folks. We have to raise our own animals. We've been thrown back into the 1800s, just like our ancestors did. Self-defense for sure. You have to be able to protect what you have. So with the MAG, that means we are going to have to set up security, OPSEC, to protect your AO. We have to be able to defend our territory. Good evening, Roaming Prepper. Welcome, 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 welcome. That's one of my heroes right there, folks. You have to be able to protect everything you have, including each other that's in your MAG. So we've got this total chaos. We have people literally dying. So we've got all this turmoil around us. Is the leader of your MAG strong enough to keep the group together, keep the group calm, and proceed to, what's the word I want to use? Make it through the initial turmoil that's going to happen. And then from there, begin to thrive. Not only just survive, but we want to thrive as a MAG. With total economic collapse, you literally are going to have to reinvent the way we live. Good evening, Lucky. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for stopping by. Deuce, thank you for stopping by. We just have to reinvent how we live at a lower level. You have to realize this country is the richest country on the planet, and we are spoiled as Americans. Everything is the generation now, it's a they want it now attitude because of technology and everything else. It's going to be mental, right? You're absolutely right, Bougie. Most of it is going to be totally mental. And the question is, are we mentally prepared and mentally steadfast and hardened to deal with the things that we're going to be exposed to and see happen? Can you mentally and physically prepare to guard your property 24 hours a day? We're going to have to put together shifts of people watching the property, watching the animals, watching everything. Because at any given moment, something can pop off. It is just it's total beyond our concept. Although, we talk about prepping and being ready, being ready for hurricanes and being ready for tornadoes, floods, even famine. We're good with that. But total collapse where there is no money, martial law has been declared, and it's a complete free for all in this country. Can we handle that? And that's my question to the group. Are we prepared to dispose of dead bodies? I'm going to just put it out there. Because if somebody or a group of people try to take what you have, you got to defend yourself. And the fallout from that is going to be bodies laying in the yard. How do we deal with that? If you have children, how are your children going to deal with that? And that's what we as preppers have to keep in our mind. Even in a mag, we have to think about that if we're caring for other people. Right. Lucky, you're absolutely correct. Nobody's prepared for that. And I don't think we can be until it is in our face. And we try to deal with it the best we can going forward. You know, for anybody in the chat that's been in the military and have seen active duty and has been on the battlefield, you get it, you understand it. But for civilians, for all of us that have not watched the person to our left or to our right get shot and die right there, that's a whole different mindset that we're not ready for. But the thing is, will we be able to hold together our mag or our family to survive? I say that answer is yes. And ladies and gentlemen, when you are forced into a life or death situation, it's only going to be one way or the other. Right. And Virginia Bushcrafter said it best right there. He said, it's not a hard choice. It's either me or them. And it ain't going to be me. I don't care if I have to get all my people out going this way, and then I blow up everything else to protect them. I'm willing to do that. Yeah. So Krista asked a good question. So do we pile them up on the curb? Would deter others from trying? You could do that. But what happens after they're there for 2 weeks and you smell them and they're rotting and decaying and you've got other animals or whatever? Now you're introducing infection, dysentery, and all this other stuff into the environment around where you live. You know? Right. Mad Shad said it best. Right. Bodies need to be disposed of. The children are the hardest. I'm with you. And if you guys have not checked out Mad Shad's channel and the Roaming Prepper and any other creators, Mad Shad, do me a favor and type the word vision, and my bot will drop your link into the chat. Guys, he keeps it real. He tells you just like it is. He doesn't hold nothing. Roaming Prepper also, thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's bodies have to be disposed of. So you should think of a place to dispose of bodies, where to burn or where to bury them within your location. You got to. My Mother Sparks, type vision, drop your link in there too, please. Anybody else that's a content creator, please do, because I believe in sharing the love. Roman prepper, he was saying, let the bodies hit the floor. I'm with you. I am with you. Yes, at all cost. Them or me, the body's dropping. But these are the things we have to prepare for. And I don't know, other than doing everything within my power, within my capability, meaning prepping as far as food, water, shelter, security, coming up with everything to secure my location, that's all I can do. That's all we all can do is take care of where we're at and go from there. While everybody's dropping their links in the chat, folks, visit some of these people's channels. They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. They have a plethora of information to share as well. Follow them, support them. We're family, y'all, because believe it or not, we're the only ones that really get where we are, the situation this country is in. And I'm okay with that, because I've met and made some amazing relationships with some of these people here tonight. And, I'll be the first to tell you, I have zero ego about anything. I will share anything that I know. And if I don't, I'll find somebody that does know and get back to you. That's what we do. That's the one thing I can say about the prepping community. Everybody I've come across has been more than helpful. And I don't care the color of your skin, your religion, your whatever. Treat me the way I need to be treated, and I will treat you the same. And I'll be that guy that walks up in the middle of the night when you need help. I'm standing on the wall. But anyway, what happens so all the stores are shut down? Let's say that every store, everything is closed. The economy has crashed. Banks are closed. Stores are closed. There's going to be a run on everything. Everything. There we go. Thank you, Virginia. I was going to get to that, but I'm glad you dropped it. So I'll talk briefly about this. Operation Pocketbook, October 31st, is our protest against our First Amendment rights and freedom of speech by boycotting all social media on October 31st. And I'm all in on that, and I'm for it. So if you want to participate, when you visit other channels, drop in that hashtag, Operation Pocketbook. Thank you for reminding me about that, Virginia. I appreciate it. And I'm missing everything going on in the chat. Mad chat, like the ancient Germanic tribes until the Romans used, ballistics on them. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right, Mad Chad. Yes. Even Mad Chad. Right. He doesn't want to get morbid, but a perimeter of bodies can be a great deterrent. You know what, Mad Chad? I'm with you. Set up a perimeter far enough away that, what was that movie? 300? They built the wall of the heads of the Persians. Absolutely. That will deter people like, oh no, we're not going that way. You're absolutely right. That's good to mention it. And no, that's not morbid. That's called survival. That's what we do. Right. The Spartans built it. Right. Yes. 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 See, there's a man who knows his history. But, if this country collapses like that, it's going to be every man and woman for themselves. I mean, folks, can you imagine not only just seeing dead bodies, and I think Mad Shad mentioned this, but children. See, my that's part of, I'm like him, like Mad Shad. That's my weakness as kids. When we see dead bodies and animals laying in the street, we got to tough it up. And thank God that that's not our kids or us laying there. And we're fighting to survive another day. Great comments in the chat. My mother Sparks, where are you still in the chat? She is. Okay. I want to if I can do this, invite her up here. I think this is it. And yeah, click on that for me, my mother Sparks, and join the stream. Roaming Prepper, if you're not busy, if you want to come up too, you are more than welcome to. But you know, these are the things we have to think about. If it really gets this bad in this country, it is going to literally be total chaos and something we've never felt. Good evening. How are you? Welcome.
I thought I'd get a warning.
I don't know if they can hear you. I can't hear you. But Mad said, yep, the kids get me hard. Same here. It's so traumatic. It's the babies because they're defenseless.
Can you still not hear me?
Can we turn this thing around by voting? What's everyone's thoughts? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Okay, Roaming Prepper. We have to try. That's all we can do is try. And you know, I'm not against voting, but yes, that's one way. And I think we can turn it around by voting out the people that lied to us to get elected, first of all. Because anybody who wants to get elected, they're not going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. I see you, no problem, fed up American. Right, we need to try. We have to vote. That's our first line of defense is voting.
Can you hear me now?
Is your mic muted?
No.
No. Can you hear me?
I can.
I can't hear you. Okay.
I'm just gonna do.
Okay, you sit there and smile. Figure it out. So yes, we got to vote, folks. That's our given constitutional right. We have to vote. So that's our first line. We got to vote. We got to try to make a change. Thank you, Triple Threat. We have to. That's the way. We have to vote out, first of all, those that lied to us to get in office, whoever that is, and put in people that are going to do what they say. And we'll try this again. How's that?
Can you hear me now?
Can't hear you. And then from there, hello, Angry Homesteader 2. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Matt says, if you don't vote, you can't complain about the government we have. That's absolutely correct, Matt. Yes, I agree 100%. If you don't vote, you have no reason to complain. A Carter says they can hear you. I can't hear you. Why can't I hear you? Oh, I know why I can't hear you.
I think it's selective hearing personally.
Yeah. You can you folks hear? Yeah, I know it. Right, Matt. It is. I don't have it connected to this particular laptop. Okay. So, my mother Sparks, give your opinion of some things that we may not have thought of in a complete total economic meltdown and collapse in this country while I fix my microphone or my headset so I can hear you. Thank you.
So I
They
see a
can
lot
hear
of
you. You
people.
talk.
Okay. I see a lot of people that are hoping for this collapse to come already because they're tired of waiting. And I think what the problem is, or part of the problem is they're thinking it's going to be like the Great
So
Depression
with
before.
that, are you talking? Because I can't hear you. Okay, talk.
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. So I think people think it's going to be another Great Depression, but what they don't realize is we have more people now in the population than we did in the Great Depression. So the amount of people that are going hungry back in those days, there was enough people to help out and subside the hunger for the most part. But we have more people now. And if more people are out of food and out of jobs and out of homes, we're not going to be able to balance that out with the people that do still have food and do still have homes, especially with our weather now is a big part in that too, with the farms, with the droughts.
I'll be right back.
With the droughts and the flooding and so forth, it's wiping out a lot of those crops that would subside a lot of the people going hungry and so forth. So we really don't want that, what people think is going to be the Great Depression again, because it's going to be 10 times worse than it was back in the day because we have millions more people and a lot less food to be able to balance that out. And then when you have people that are losing their homes and losing their vehicles and so forth, it's going to be 10 times worse there as well because there are more people, there's not going to be any space for them. And there's only going to be limited areas under bridges and so forth because there's so many more people. Can you hear me now, Vision? Y'all don't forget to hit that thumbs up for Trent while we're trying to get him to hear me. Bougie, you're right. You're right. Nobody should be wishing for anything to happen. And I see it on a lot of channels where they're like, I wish it would just come already. I wish the collapse would come already. I wish the war would start already. Nobody should be asking for that to start. Nobody should be wishing that on anyone because they don't realize how bad it really is going to be. It's not going to be like the original Great Depression. It's going to be a million times worse.
See, that's the life of a prepper.
Can you hear me now? No? One second, guys. I'm giving him a workaround, which doesn't sound right, but I'm talking about the channel.
Okay, I hear you now. Yay.
Okay. It'll be a little bit delayed, but at least you can hear and be in the conversation.
That's fine. I'm back. See, life of a prepper and technology, and I'm an IT guy by trade, and we fail too. Anywho, so I'll say this: Mad Shad's ideal of setting up a perimeter of dead bodies as a deterrent, believe it or not, that is a great idea. Think about the Vietnam War, what they did to us as part of the mental psychology they put us through. They would cut off soldiers' heads and put them on sticks and stake them in the ground. They would hang them from trees. They would do all of that. Exactly. I'm mad, Chad. I am with you. I love air conditioning and I don't want unrest. I pray to God every night before I go to sleep that I don't wake up to complete chaos in the morning. Because no matter how much we prep, and this is just my take on this, no matter how much we prep, there's going to come a point where I'm going to need something supernatural to get through this, to survive, and to get my
Mhm.
family and friends and my group, everybody that's with me to get through this. So, that's um, good to see you, Derek. How are you, sir? Good to see you. So, that's where I come from. You know, we can buy all of the bullets, band-aids, and beams that we want, but when we have an SHTF and it's them or us, it's going to be them, whoever it is. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's my neighbor next door.
Mhm.
If he
Mhm.
comes through the woods to take what I have from me or my family, like the roaming prepper said, the bodies will hit the floor.
And you have to be willing to do that. You can't pause. That decision
Correct.
has to be instant because the second the second you pause, you're done. There has to be no delay. Make that decision
Mhm.
before you make that decision, basically.
Right. You have to already have that mindset that I
Mhm.
will take a life to protect my life
Mhm.
and my family and friends.
That's exactly right.
Yes,
Krista's
um,
comment, I don't know if you missed it.
I
She made a
did.
good point that there'll be so much more crime this time because there's a lot less faith in God. And that is so true. We were actually,
Ooh,
Vision and I were just talking about
ooh.
that before we got on this stream about how the faith is not there anymore. That there's people just don't have faith. They're so afraid of the worst case scenario and they forget that their faith can pull them through anything. They just have to have that faith and they've lost it. They've lost it over the years. And it's
Right.
it's sad because a lot of people are going to succumb because they have lost that faith.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I hope Mad Shab is absolutely right. He likes air conditioning. I don't want to see this country fall that low because we are the greatest country on the planet. Although everything's not perfect, everything's not right, and we're all mad about a lot of stuff, and we have a right to be. But still, I will not only defend my country, I'm going to defend mine and my friends and my neighbors and anybody else. So it's interesting.
And it is going to come down
That
to that.
right.
Unfortunately, maybe not this year, maybe not the next year, but it is slowly going to come down to that. And when you get down to a SHTF to the point of collapse, it's actually going to be to where neighbors are going to be turning in neighbors. And that's really the
Right.
scariest part. Not just your neighbors, your family. Your family are going to be turning you in just to get a loaf of bread. And
Yes.
that's scary. That's very scary because I would put my life down for my family, but I know there are
Right.
some family that would turn me in for some, a bag of potatoes. And if it
Same
comes
here.
down to that, that's where my faith comes in. Get me out of there.
Correct. And that's why, I always say I'm prepping for 10 people, which is my family, because at the end of the day, I'm going to make sure that my family's not going to turn me in because they don't have no food, because they know where they should have came in the first place. And if they would have listened to me or listened to anybody talk about getting ready, just in case, we preach that till the hills. But, those are the ones we have to look out to.
That might help, but I think pride is going to get in the way there.
Correct. And we all know how that goes. Pride comes before the fall. So, yeah, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees, period. And that's just my mindset. And the
Roaming
roaming
prepper, that's one of my
prepper,
favorite sayings. Yep.
exactly. Ironically, family can be the most dangerous. Right. Let go and let God. Absolutely. Um, roaming prepper, would you like to join the panel? Because I just like listening to you when you talk. And if you want to share with everybody tonight, you're more than welcome to come up here. And if not, that's okay too. But yes, we got to let go and let God at
And
some
Bougie
point in
made a good
time.
point too. She said that
Who,
people who have faith will also lose it, and that's very true as well. That there's a lot of people
yes,
that think they have the strong faith that are going to lose it because once something happens to them, they're going to think that God left them and their faith is gone. You just
right,
have to hold tight.
right. And that's why. And I'm a movie buff guy. I am a movie dude. I can quote lines from movies left and right. For me, that's why the Book of Eli is so amazing. Just the soft nuances of the movie itself. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that, roaming prepper. This man was, as we all found out at the end of the movie, he was blind. And he had been walking for 30 years, he said, and he was led and protected all the way through. Even though he got shot, he was still protected because he didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hope the world never falls into that type of collapse. I pray that it doesn't because, yeah, yeah. So, any questions in the chat? Let's hear from y'all. I've been running my mouth and dealing with technical difficulties, and it's 8:18, and my mother Spark saved me. And Krista just said, sadly enough, family did not listen. Right, we prep for the ignorant. Right, but even some family have evil intent rather than family honor. That's true. And those family members will not walk up on this property, period. And it's sad that we have to treat some of our own flesh and blood that way. But you're right, Krista. Right. Mad Shad said it best. Community is key. Yes. And keep putting your communities together, your groups, everything you can. So when there is a time of need, hopefully we can answer the call.
It's hard to find communities now, though. It's hard to find
It
people
is.
because they're all either naive or they're in it for
Mhm.
themselves. It's so hard to find people that are willing to work together or are willing to step back and use their own thinking skills, looking at it from outside and seeing the entire picture and not just bits and pieces that affect them personally, but the whole world.
Correct. And that's the whole thing of community. You got to put pride and all of that aside and work for the betterment of the group.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have egos. You can't have 50 chiefs and no Indians to where somebody says, well, I'm not going in the garden. I don't know how to garden. Well, come on with me. Let me show you how.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to be able to do that. You have to be a good leader. You have to be a good servant first and foremost. If you serve, you'll be an amazing leader. Right. Mad Chad, be of service to your community now. It'll pay off later. You're absolutely right. And here's what I did. Excuse me. When I moved out here, within that first week I was here, I drove around in my small town and found all the county sheriffs and introduced myself to them and told them where I live and made friends and said, hey, here's where I'm at. If I see anything, you guys be the first to know. If you need to know something, stop by. So, those were the first people I made contact with. Then I met one of my neighbors, haven't met the other one yet, but we wave as we drive by because, I don't like people.
That's a
I
lie.
don't like people.
That's a lie.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And a couple of people have heard me say that, and I will say that. Yes, yes, we are. It's service is our first duty, is to serve one another, each other. Barb's Country Home, welcome, welcome. Came over from Triple Threat, welcome. Glad you're here. Pull up a chair, grab a beverage, sit back, jump in on the conversation tonight. Are we really prepared for an economic collapse in the country?
Do you have
So,
anyone in the basement?
no, but I'm going to drop this link here so that the roaming prepper can
Hey,
click the
Carbon
link.
Q.
Good evening, Carbon Q. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. So if you click that link, roaming prepper, and I'll bring you in the green room. Don't mind the mess. Grab a cup of coffee or an adult beverage, and I don't think there's any in there, but we'll get you up here with us. There he is. I'm disappointed. He does not have on a New York Giants shirt.
No, not yet.
Well,
I had to wash it eventually, man.
okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. Got to support the
I was
Giants.
gonna bring the puppy, but he's passed out. His legs up. He looks dead.
Welcome, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me, man.
Oh man, you're more than welcome anytime. Anytime. So with that, I'm going to do, no, I'm not. I'm going to leave it as it is. The three wise people minus me. So that makes two. So
I don't
with
know.
that,
Some people think I'm wise, but not in a good way.
Right? I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. What do you see happening, Roman Prepper, if the banks go belly up?
Well, I'm a big fan of history. I would think you're going to see that panic, and it'll take a minute to set in. We, as the prepping community, we tend to be, and I've mentioned it before, about 4 to 7 months ahead of the general public. We were talking about the Rona in December of 2019, November, like, hey, that's weird. Why is China acting like that? And then here we are in March, 4 or 5 months later, boom.
Right.
If you look back at the Great Depression, it actually came in 3 waves. It crashed, came up, crashed, and then some very rich guys, Carnegie and a few others, tried to boost the market up, and then it cratered.
Okay.
And during that time, a lot of people just stood there and they kind of were stupefied. And I think we're going to see the same thing. And then when it went down, that's when you saw the stock market guys jumping off the bank buildings and whatnot.
Right. Right.
I think if it happens, it's going to be a very odd, slow, rolling collapse over maybe a month. And then we'll see it because we're looking for it. We're waiting for it.
Right. Exactly. So okay. So if the banks collapse, what happens to mortgages and people's homes?
Shoot,
I don't know.
No, I don't know. Like who's gonna collect if there's no bank?
Right. If there's no bank, how do we make mortgage payments? Things like that.
Well, it's funny. Texas is, likes to do its own thing, and
Okay.
I can't confirm it, although I've read it a few places. Is that Texas actually has a gold reserve spread out in the state universities? So I guess the governor could declare we're on the gold silver standard and create some kind of stability. I'm wondering if the states won't basically, they use balkanized. It's a terrible phrase, but
Right.
regionalize, where, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, the surrounding states will say,
Mm-hmm.
we're on the silver standard, or we're on,
Right.
this standard,
Whatever.
and just
Yeah.
create some kind of local stability.
Mm-hmm.
Because
That's a good point, because that could happen. I mean, if there's total chaos and the government, the Federal Reserve, which is not a government entity, is burned and dead, are we literally liable to still pay our mortgage because we have this paper that says "In God We Trust" that's worth nothing,
yeah,
and we have no job to go to?
I think once they start doing foreclosures, it's going to come down to compliance again. So I think some of your people, like, they're going to start the foreclosures here now. They've already started with some people, and they're going to put that notice on the door, and you're going to have the compliant people be like, okay, well, I'm not even going to try to fight this. I'm not going to wait till the end of whatever the notice is they gave, and they're just going to leave. But it's like the longer, just like the mask, the longer you held out, the less people came at you. So the longer people can hold out, I think there's going to be less people actually being able to collect those debts, for better words, and come at you. So it's how long can you hold out? How long can you kind of stay afloat before they come at you,
Yeah.
or don't have the people to come at you? And that's what you have to stand your ground for. Don't just
Right.
get a notice and be like, okay, I'm moving, bye. Wait as
Yeah.
long as you can, stall as long as you can. And it sounds terrible, but that's what people need to do. Hold your ground.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. There's another element of this. Once the banks collapse and our economic system is gone, so we all know that there's going to be a run on department stores, grocery stores, and I don't want to be anywhere near there when that happens. That's why we prep, so we don't have to do that. But so what do you do when that family shows up on your door that you don't know and they have 4 kids? I'm at anybody can answer that. What do we do?
I hate to be terrible, but if I don't know them, my family comes first. And if I give
Yeah.
away to another family when they should have been seeing what was going on from day one, I am not able to help them other than maybe guide them somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
hard.
I think it's also dependent on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I'm in a small city out in the country,
Mhm.
really. It's surrounded by
Mhm.
farms and pump jacks and God
Mhm.
knows what else out here, and
Right.
coyotes. But I've seen, this community will, even my subdivision,
Mhm.
when we had people were breaking in during the Rona break, we had people driving the neighborhood, just, watching, making sure everyone was
Really?
okay.
Okay.
You'll see that, but you
Mhm.
take a big city, Chicago, New York, LA,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's going to be a free for all.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough National Guard and police.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if they hire 87,000 federal whatever knuckleheads in the IRS,
Exactly. Yeah.
there are 320 million Americans right now.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
That ratio is not right.
Correct.
Yeah. Your
It
civilians are going to become the police and the security.
Yeah.
right. So
And you're,
with those people, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh no, you're going to see the county judges, the county sheriffs, the mayors saying, okay, our county is now a self-contained county, and we're going to need
Mhm.
able-bodied people, and if you have medical, go to the hospital so you can
Mhm.
volunteer your time. But again, it depends where you are. I could see it in the country. I could see it in
Mhm.
certain states. There'll be other states. It'll be a free for all. It'll be ugly.
Yes, it will. I think the bigger cities, LA, New York, Chicago, metropolitan areas, it's going to be total chaos.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's not going to be It's not going to be pretty, period. So again, we've all talked about, our families come first, and stranger comes up and knocks on the door. We're hungry, 3 kids. I'm like, nope, I'm not taking away from my family. Or do you give them something and send them on their way?
The problem is if you give them something, you don't know who they're with. That's
True.
the problem. And Carbon Q said something about they might have a skill set that you need, but how do you vet somebody when it gets to that point? They could easily come to the door and say that they have this skill set. You have no way to verify it when it gets to that point, which is why it's so important to build your community now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's very true. I know several guys in our group, we've got a medic, we've got a doctor, and everybody else pretty much knows how to build, electrical work, plumbing, all of that. But let's say you get a guy in your group, or you come across some people that is a doctor, but you don't know it, but you see them attending to somebody hurt or wounded in the street. Do we have the mentality or the mindset to say, hey, you and your family come with us? So those are the things that we may want to look for if and when we're out and about, either just checking our perimeters in our area or going for supplies or whatever. We have to be cognizant of that, because there may be people out there that we need, and they don't know that they need us per se. That's tricky. And my whole thing is, because I am a homebody, not a homebody, but I protect what's mine, I would be hard pressed to leave my house unless I'm going to get another family member, but I'm going to make sure that those that are here can still protect and deal with a situation until myself and whoever get back. I don't want to leave my house.
That's true. And then you have to look at when an SHTF happens, are people going to get to you, going to be able to get to you?
Yes.
That's hard, because depending on how bad it gets, it might be a fight just to get off your road, let alone across states. You have to know the back roads as well. You have to be able to have those paper maps to get through the back roads, because GPS is probably not going to work, first of all, and your main roads are a trap, either by way of security or by way of being gridlocked because of other people trying to get out. Either way, you want to stay off those main roads. Do you know the way on back roads to get to where you need to get? How long is it going to take you to get there? Do you have the supplies to get there? It's people have got to start thinking all this through, and not just that one place. Like, if we were to go, say, to your place, if we can't get there, do we have other places along the way that we can stop and rest, or other places in general away from that area that we can get to in the opposite direction, because shit's hit the fan really bad around your area and we just can't get there?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if you're evacuating and you don't have a destination anymore, you've suddenly become a refugee. And
exactly,
that can become very difficult. Sadly, my mag was in Houston, and I have, my children are grown, and at least 2 of the 3 think like we do.
Okay.
But we're scattered. So we've basically, and my brother is also like-minded, and he's in another state. So we've already made, look, if you get hit by a hurricane, we're the bug out location. If, I don't know, the Russians come through, Texas for whatever reason, then you're the bug out location. So we've already laid these plans, but again, like you pointed out, if the roads are convoluted, you might be blocked by, you might go into a county and they may turn you away and say you have to go around. We're
Right.
letting no one in our county. We're locked down,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
which I could
Yeah.
see happening.
Yep. I'm with you
Oh,
on that. I
absolutely.
could see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
They're going to
You know,
protect their own cities and counties. They're going to,
If
if
have
they
you
have any
guys
sense of
seen
mind.
have you guys seen the movie How It Ends with
yes.
Forrest Whitaker
With Forrest Whitaker.
and I forgot the young actor's name. I just blanked.
Yes. Yes. That is a great movie.
So it happens to them, and Forrest Whitaker's actually he was a military man, wasn't he?
Yes.
And
Yep.
they get stopped trying to make
Mhm.
it to a friend's house by
Mhm.
the sheriff, and the sheriff did what he had to do, and he
Mm-hmm.
formed an immediate posse, and there
Yeah.
must have been 50 people out there,
Right.
protecting the various streets.
Right.
I could see that happening.
Yeah. Same here. By the way, if you guys haven't seen that movie, check it out. I think it's still on Netflix. It's a great movie. But yeah, I can see the counties shutting down, getting in and out of the county, and having to show proof if you live in the county. Yeah.
Well, now they do that with hurricanes now. When you're evacuated for a hurricane, they do that now. If you get mandatory evacuated, you have to show proof
That
that
you
you
live there.
live in wherever was evacuated.
Wow.
Yeah, we had it happen during Harvey
Mhm.
in Houston.
Mhm.
If the guard caught you, you needed to have a license that had an address in that subdivision.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. When I lived in Florida, we had to have all our paperwork to get back into.
So that here's the lesson from that, folks. If you have not updated your address on your driver's license to where you currently live, please do so that you have papers that show you live at the address where you live. And I only say that because my driver's license do not say where I live right now, and neither does my passport. So I'm screwed all the way around. But what time is it? 8:30. We'll go about 15, 20 minutes more. I was thinking about this all week, and it actually woke me up Monday night. I was like, good Lord, I'm not ready. Because, and I'm not saying prep wise, I'm just saying technically, mentally, and emotionally, because I've never been in war. And although I have seen a dead body, but can you imagine cars on fire, people burnt? I mean, total chaos. And I pray to God that that doesn't happen and we never see that and our children never live through that. But if it does happen, because in the prepper community, we prep for all of this in one fashion or way. So, excuse the pun, MMS, man up. That's what we have to do. We have to put our plan into action to take care of our family, to survive. And after we get through the survival mode, now we plan to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we're rebuilding. And I don't think a lot of people even think about that stuff.
They don't.
Because
A lot of the old skills are gone too to be able to do that.
yeah.
And to
go ahead. I'm sorry.
MMS's point, the old skills you see more in the countries, in the country, in the rural areas,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
in certain communities, where even in Houston, which is the third largest city, you still had FFA, you still had wood shop,
Mm-hmm.
but New York City, there's no FFA there, and
Right.
I mean, there's no farms nearby. That would be a catastrophe in that city.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Right. But that to AUS's point, technology is so embedded in us that we can't get away from it. They've got us. When they instituted the Patriot Act, that took away everything that we've been trying to protect our entire life. I'm sorry, I'll go ahead and say it. The Patriot Act is what gave away, that's what gave away the baby and the bathwater. And to live in a place like, let's just say, that other country over there with 1 billion people, have surveillance cameras on every single corner everywhere. You cannot go anywhere without being under some type of surveillance. So I just know that them trying to put in a different form of government, we're the ones that have to make it not work. Period.
That would require everyone to drop their technology. They already have surveillance on us. We carry it in our pockets every day. Just
Correct.
because you shut off your phone doesn't mean that it can't still track you. And people don't realize
No.
that. They think they can just
Correct.
take out the battery and they're
No.
good. And
No.
that's not how it works.
No, because I know for a fact how it works and what can be done and what can't be done.
Mhm.
So, Faraday bags are real and they
Mhm.
work.
Yes.
They absolutely work.
Mhm.
So if you need to, get one or several. But, so also gold and silver. What's your take on gold and silver? Each one of you.
Go ahead. I went first the last few times, interrupting.
No, that's fine. Um, you can't use silver and gold per se at Walmart,
Right.
but it's been in use since the days of Moses and Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a known and accepted medium of exchange. And truthfully, as you pointed out, you look at the cycles of civilizations, they get to a point they collapse either internally or they get attacked and they
Right.
go away.
Right.
But inevitably, humanity, unless we obliterate ourselves, humanity will create a new home. And
Right.
to have a diversity of methods to, how would I say, conduct commerce is not a bad idea. I had
Right.
someone argue with me on one chat that, well, you can't eat the silver and you can't use it at Walmart. Well, good is it? Well, fair enough. But I know I've gone overseas and I could go to an exchange and give in a American Eagle, a 1 ounce silver, and got
Mm-hmm.
euros minus
Right.
my little fee.
Right.
It's accepted as a, how would I say, a transfer of wealth. So
Correct.
don't just have dollars. I actually have euros because I've traveled there. I've got
Right.
Argentinian pesos and I
Okay.
have American dollars. So whenever I've gone overseas, I keep some of the currency with me because you never know.
Right.
But if you can diversify, if you have things for barter, if you have
Yeah.
gold and silver, if you have
Yep.
cash, it gives you options. And basically we can't plan for every scenario. I think it would make us all insane. But it would
I'm
make us
halfway there,
crazy.
so yeah.
But if you can set yourself up where you can go in different directions, well, the paper dollar has failed, but I have silver or I have barter. You can navigate, and it's a bad SHTF is going to require a little bit of ad hoc thinking, where you may say,
Mhm.
well, I don't have whatever currency is available, but I'm an engineer and I'm really good with electrical stuff.
Mhm.
There you
And
go.
you need to get those generators wired to that, and that I can help you with.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
there's a lot. I'm a fan of diversification,
I'm
Mhm.
with you.
and
Yeah.
it's a good idea. If nothing else, even if we end our days here and nothing happens, I can hand it off to my children, my
Exactly.
grandchildren, and say, this is a transfer of wealth now to you. This is your inheritance to go forward.
I agree with that completely. Sorry, there's a fly. I think it is going to roll back to where we are bartering, because the stores, I think, if they can't get supply, they're not going to be able to stay open because they're not going to be able to pay their rent. You're going to have a lot more than just the mom and pop store shutting down. And gold and silver is good for the larger things. I think silver is like $26 or something an ounce now. the last time I checked, right around there. You have to do your research though, because you don't want to give an ounce of gold for a bowl of soup. So you need to make sure you know the difference, and you need to make sure you have different sizes of the silver and different sizes of the gold, because you don't want to short yourself or somebody else for that matter. But in the same token, for somebody who doesn't want silver and gold, you also need to stock up on things that they may want, which means even if you don't drink, you want bottles of alcohol. Even if you don't smoke, you want cartons of cigarettes, because those are going to be very, very hard to get a hold of, or learn how to grow them or make it yourself. Because if you can trade a bottle of homemade hooch for 5 pounds of rice, do it. And it's going to come down to that. If the store's closed, that's what you're going to have to do. And like you said, when it comes to, if it doesn't happen in our time, it's something we can pass on to the next generation, because it is coming. Whether it comes in our time or the next time, it is coming. And it's something that can continuously be passed to the next generation.
Right. You're right. So with that, it's 8:47. I appreciate you guys, because I'm mindful of your time. I appreciate you, Roaming Prepper, for coming up.
Thank you for having
Last
me.
question, and this is a hard one for everybody. What's the one prep you will not barter for or give up or give away?
Ammo.
I was gonna say pews. Anything that can be used to hurt me, unless it's to someone I know and trust in my circle, my own son is like, hey, I need an upgrade. Okay.
Right.
That's something I wouldn't do, but I do have a bunch of parts. And again, that goes back to the barter system. Well, yours is not working. How about we have a conversation about that?
Yeah, I need a new trigger. Right.
Yeah.
I'm with you, but pews, that's the one thing I will never barter for. Period.
I can't grow them in my garden, so they're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
No,
Well,
you can hide
folks,
them in your garden, though.
This is
you
true.
can hide them in the garden. Absolutely. I appreciate your time. This turned out better than I had planned. Everybody in the chat, I appreciate everybody for coming. Do me one favor. If you haven't, smash the like button, subscribe, share out the video. Two amazing preppers up here. My mother Sparks, yeah, that's one of my ride and dies. Roaming Prepper, you get mad props from me from the day I first started following you. I said, yeah, that's a good dude right there.
Thank you, man.
And it's we're all in this together, and that's the one thing I love about this community. Everybody I have met, we are selfless, and we share the knowledge, we share the information, we help, and that takes a spirit of a different breed, and that's who we are. And on that note, folks, everybody in the chat, thank you for coming. My mother Sparks, love y'all to death. Roaming Prepper, love you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you,
Everybody in the chat, keep prepping, because your family depends on you. And prepping, your life depends on it. Everybody have a good evening, and God bless.
You all stay safe.